There are two types of problems in the world, the complicated and the impossible. Complicated problems are solved every day, but impossible problems are the ones that are protected by a wall of assumptions, a fortress of the way it's always been done. Reusable rockets were impossible. Electric cars with mass appeal were impossible. A private company going to Mars was impossible. And yet, one man has made a career of systematically dismantling the impossible. That man is Elon Musk. The question the world asks is, how? Is he simply a once-in-a-generation genius, operating on a level we can never hope to reach? The answer is no. While his intelligence is undeniable, his true superpower is not the hardware of his brain, but the software he runs on it. He uses a specific, powerful, and ancient mental algorithm to deconstruct reality and build a new one from the ground up. In this chapter, we will decompile that algorithm. We will give you the source code to the one mental trick he uses to solve impossible problems. This is the secret of first principles thinking. The wall of impossible. Every great leap forward in human history, every world-changing invention first had to face the wall of impossible. This is not a wall of bricks or stone, it is a wall of consensus. It is a psychological fortress built from the collective chorus of "it can't be done," "it's too expensive," "it's never been done that way before," and the most powerful defense of all, if it was a good idea, someone would have done it already. This wall is a colossal, tangled machine of interlocking gears. Each gear represents a piece of accepted wisdom. One gear is the expert opinion, the pronouncement of the seasoned veteran who knows the limits of the field. Another is the historical precedent, the graveyard of all who have tried and failed before. A third is the economic reality, the seemingly unbreakable logic of cost and profit. And they all grind together, day and night, powered by the immense inertial force of the way things are. The vast majority of people, even very smart people, see this wall and make a fatal assumption. They assume the wall itself is a fundamental law of nature. They accept its existence as a fixed and unchangeable reality. Their mind, defeated before the battle has even begun, then immediately looks for a small, safe, and incremental improvement. They are intimidated by the sheer complexity of the machine, and so they focus on polishing a single gear. This is the psychological prison that traps 99% of human ingenuity. It is the mindset that looks at a horse and asks, how can we breed a slightly faster horse? It is the mindset that looks at a candle and asks, how can we make a candle that drips a little less wax? The genius, the alchemist, the Elon Musk, approaches the same wall and sees something different. They do not see a law of nature. They see a construct. They see a machine built by other people based on assumptions that may no longer be true. They understand that the gears are not fundamental truths. They are just parts. They do not ask, how can I climb this wall? Or how can I make a gear run better? They ask a question so simple, so profound, it is considered an act of heresy by the keepers of the old machine. They ask, what is this wall truly made of?
The prison of analogy. That simple, heretical question, what is this wall truly made of, is a question that 99% of human brains are specifically designed to never ask. To understand why, you must understand your brain's default operating system. It is a system built for one primary purpose, survival. And for survival, the most important trait is not innovation, it is energy conservation. Thinking from scratch is metabolically expensive. It burned a tremendous amount of glucose. So to save energy, your brain evolved a magnificent and powerful shortcut. That shortcut is called reasoning by analogy. It is the process of looking at a new problem, scanning your memory for the most similar problem you've already solved, and then applying a slightly modified version of the old solution. It is the voice that says, this is like that, so I will do what I did then. This is not a flaw, it is a feature. It is what allows you to drive a new car without relearning how to drive, or to cook in a new kitchen without relearning the principles of heat. It is an incredibly efficient tool for navigating a familiar world. But when it is applied to the wall of impossible, this magnificent tool becomes a prison. The person trapped in the prison of analogy looks at the horse and thinks, how can we make a faster horse? They look at the candle and think, how can we make a better candle? Their entire world of possibility is defined and limited by the solutions that already exist. They are engaged in a noble but ultimately doomed effort of incremental improvement. They are polishing the gears of the machine, never once questioning the machine itself. This is the very definition of being trapped inside the box. The analogy is the box. Elon Musk explains this with the historical example of batteries. For decades, the consensus was that batteries were and would always be incredibly expensive. This was the wall. Everyone reasoned by analogy. High-performance battery packs cost $600 per kilowatt hour because that's what they've always cost. They focused their efforts on making slightly more efficient batteries, on trying to get the cost down to $500. They were building a better candle. The alchemist, the first principles thinker, refuses to start there. They reject the analogy entirely. They do not look at the finished battery pack, they look at the raw elements. They ask, what is a battery truly made of? The answer is cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon, some polymers for separation, and a container. Then they ask the second crucial question. What is the spot market price for each of those raw materials? When you do the math, you discover that the cost of the fundamental atomic ingredients of a battery is a tiny fraction of the final price. The wall of impossible cost was not a law of physics. It was a prison of accumulated inefficiencies, outdated manufacturing processes, and a lack of imagination. It was a collective agreement to keep building a better candle. By seeing the raw ingredients instead of the finished product, the alchemist realizes the wall isn't a wall at all. It's a phantom. And they are now free to build something entirely new, from the ground up. This is the first crucial step in escaping the prison.
The deconstruction. So how does one escape the prison of analogy? You do not reason your way out. You do not negotiate your way out. You break your way out. This is the second and most active stage of the first principles algorithm. This is the deconstruction. It is the act of taking a mental hammer to the wall of impossible. You take the complex, intimidating machine, the product, the problem, the belief that has always been done this way, and you mentally shatter it into its most basic, irreducible components. Your hammer is not made of steel. It is forged from a single, powerful question repeated with the relentless, almost annoying curiosity of a child. Why? You look at a process and you ask, why is this step necessary? They give you an answer and you ask again. But why is that true? They give you another reason and you press further. Why does it have to be that way? You keep asking why until you can no longer be given a satisfactory answer based on a physical law. The point where knowledge ends and a mere assumption, a tradition, or a convention begins, that is the fracture point. That is where you strike with the hammer. Let us return to the battery pack. The alchemist, Elon Musk, does not see a battery. He takes his mental hammer and shatters the entire concept of the battery pack. What is left? Not a battery, but a pile of raw, fundamental truths. A pile of nickel, a pile of cobalt, a pile of carbon, a pile of aluminum for the casing. These are the atomic ingredients of the battery. They are not assumptions, they are physical facts. The price of these raw materials on the London Metal Exchange is also a fundamental truth. And the truth was, the cost of these raw ingredients was a tiny fraction of the finished product. The enormous price of the battery was not a law of physics. It was a tower of accumulated assumptions about manufacturing, supply chains, and labor. This process is an act of intellectual demolition, but what you are left with is not a pile of rubble. You are left with a clean, beautiful, and profoundly simple collection of the essential building blocks of the problem. You have reduced the complex car to a simple pile of circles, squares, and triangles. You have boiled the ocean down to its constituent elements, hydrogen and oxygen.
You have reached the atomic level of the problem. The things that you know are true, not because someone told you, but because they are self-evident and cannot be broken down any further.
The recreation. The amateur, standing in the rubble of a deconstructed problem, makes a critical and revealing mistake. They see the raw, fundamental truths they have just unearthed, and their immediate instinct is to try and rebuild the old structure just a little more efficiently. They try to build a slightly better candle. This is the final ghost of analogical thinking. The alchemist, the first principles thinker, understands that the true magic begins after the deconstruction. They see the pile of atomic parts, the nickel, the carbon, the circles, the squares, and they feel a surge of absolute freedom. They are no longer bound by the old blueprint. The original design is irrelevant. They ask a question of profound, world-changing power. Forgetting everything that has come before, what is the most efficient, most elegant, and most powerful new structure I can build with these same fundamental pieces? This is the recreation. It is the art of building a rocket ship from the parts of a car. Let us return to Elon Musk and the battery. After deconstructing the impossible cost of a battery pack down to its raw materials, he did not simply try to find a slightly cheaper supplier for cobalt. He threw out the entire manufacturing playbook. He asked, what is the most logical, efficient way to assemble these materials from first principles if no battery factory had ever existed before? The answer was not to buy cells from Panasonic, ship them across the ocean to California, and assemble them into a pack. The answer was to build a gigafactory, a colossal machine that takes in raw materials at one end and spits out finished batteries at the other, collapsing the entire global supply chain into a single, hyper-efficient building. He didn't build a better candle factory, he built a light bulb factory. He did the same with rockets. The industry, reasoning by analogy, saw a rocket as a bullet, something to be fired once and discarded. The cost was astronomical because you had to build a new bullet for every single shot. Musk, the alchemist, deconstructed the rocket. What is it really? It is a structure, some fuel tanks, and some very complex engines. The structure and tanks are cheap. The engines are incredibly expensive. The analogical mind says we must throw it all away. The first principles mind asks, why are we throwing away the most expensive parts? What else is an expensive machine with engines that completes a journey? An airplane. And we do not throw away a Boeing 747 after a single flight. From that simple, powerful reframing, the impossible was born. A rocket that could land itself vertically on a ship in the middle of the ocean, ready to be refueled and flown again. He did not build a better bullet. He built a reusable spaceship. This is the ultimate power of the first principles method. It is not just a tool for solving problems, it is a tool for creating new realities. It allows you to see the world not as a fixed menu of options, but as a simple collection of fundamental building blocks, waiting for a new architect to assemble them into a design the world has never seen before. The master key. We have shattered the wall of impossible. We have escaped the prison of analogy. We have performed the deconstruction, breaking down a complex problem into its raw atomic truths. And we have begun the recreation, building a new, more elegant solution from the ground up. This is the algorithm. This is the first principles method. But to call it a trick is to fundamentally misunderstand its power. A trick is a clever, superficial act. This is not a trick. It is a complete and total replacement of your brain's default operating system. It is a paradigm shift in how you view the world. Reasoning by analogy is like having a key for every single door in a building. You have a key for the office, a key for the restroom, a key for the closet. It works, but it is cumbersome, and you can only open the doors you have been given a key for. Reasoning from first principles is not another key on the ring. It is the master key. It is the one single tool that can deconstruct any lock, understand its fundamental mechanism of pins and tumblers, and then reassemble that mechanism to open the door. The person who holds the master key is not limited by the doors that have been built. They have the power to open any door they choose. Or, more profoundly, to build a new door where once there was only a wall. This is the true secret of the Elon Musks, the Leonardo da Vinci's of the world. Their genius is not an inborn, magical quality. It is a relentless, courageous, and almost fanatical commitment to using this master key on every problem they encounter. They see the world not as a fixed and finished reality, but as a collection of assumptions waiting to be challenged. They see common knowledge not as truth, but as a temporary consensus. This is the power now in your hands. This is not a tool you use once. It is a lens you look through forever.
Start small. Find a process in your own life, a habit, a routine, a problem at work, that is governed by the phrase, because that's how it's always been done, and take the hammer to it. Ask, why? Until you hit the bedrock of a physical law. Deconstruct it. See its atomic parts. And then ask the most powerful question of all. If I were to build this from scratch today, knowing what I know now, would it look like this? The answer almost always will be no. And in that no, in that gap between what is and what could be, lies the fertile ground for all innovation, all progress, and all empire building. You have been given the master key. The only remaining question is, which impossible door will you open first?
The person who holds the master key is not limited by the doors that have been built. They have the power to open any door they choose, or, more profoundly, to build a new door where once there was only a wall. This is the power now in your hands. This is not a tool you use once. It is a lens you look through forever. Thank you for joining us inside Capital Sanctum. You have now acquired the mental algorithm to deconstruct any problem. To learn the unwritten rules of social architecture, subscribe to Capital Sanctum and unlock the next page in the Codex.